Hi and welcome to Ryvis Rambles, where I talk about whatever the f I want. And today we're taking a break from the comparison of the drama The Untamed with its source novel Modao Tsushi, because it's time for another media recap. Meaning I'm going to talk about the media I consumed in the past 3 months. I'm going to talk about the movies, shows, books, manga, anime and games I've watched, read and played. Also, usual disclaimer, I have a star rating from 1 to 5, but a low rating doesn't necessarily mean it was bad, it just means it wasn't for me. Everyone has their own taste. And with that out of the way, let's get started! Movies. I didn't watch that many movies this time because I didn't have that much time, but I watched Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, 100 Meters or Hyakuem, The Devil Wears Prada 2, Animat or Chirudo, Psy Disaster, Cocoon, A Summer of Girlhood, and Skunk. Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair. Kill Bill is about an assassin who seeks revenge on her former love and squad members, all of whom left her for dead on her wedding day. So, first things first, Harvey Weinstein is part of the production and, ew. But it also made me wonder, did he realize what kind of movie he was making? There has to be such a massive cognitive dissonance because this movie is about men being pigs and being punished for being pigs. He was such a pig. I mean, he probably didn't want to see, but that's a whole nother topic. Hello, different light, different hair. It is I, from the future. And yes, I'm sick again. After editing this part, I wanted to leave a small disclaimer. I know there have been much more issues during the production of this movie, and Harvey Weinstein isn't the only problematic man who worked on this. The reason I brought this up and don't want to cut it out of this video is because I had such a visceral reaction to seeing his name in the credits before the movie even started. Yet I didn't walk out because the ticket was paid, the damage was done. Might as well watch The Whole Bloody Affair. It's honestly my fault for never doing my research. Yet I just had to point out the irony of these men creating a movie about a strong, badass woman who kills men for being pigs when they themselves are these pigs. That's all. Back to past me. Also, I really hate Bill. I really don't see the appeal because he might express himself a bit poetically, might be a bit philosophical, but it felt so performative and it was delivered in such a condescending manner that it gave me the ick. But whatever, it's an iconic movie with an iconic soundtrack. There's also lots of blood, but it's so over-the-top dramatic that I'm not sure it still counts as like gory or splatter. The second part was a bit more comedic and I don't know if it was on purpose, but it also doesn't really matter because the storytelling is super rewarding. Also, I noticed a small Easter egg, the Wilhelm scream was used twice in this movie. Might already be a known fact, but I'm just proud of me for noticing. 4 stars. 100 meters or Hyakuem. Gifted runner Togashi dominates 100-meter races until transfer student Komiya arrives, motivating him to train harder. Years later, they compete as rivals on the racetrack. The movie is okay. There are some stylistic choices I liked, for example the pouring rain scene or how mental struggles were represented in general, but there are also some scenes that suffer from what I call over-animation, and that's when the characters move too much in a way that it just doesn't feel natural anymore. It's a pet peeve I have with animation in general. And then there were 2 scenes where the camera essentially points to nothing. It left me wondering if they ran out of money to animate the running scenes because these nothing angles didn't add any value to the movie. Because usually everything that's said or shown has a point in a movie or in a good movie, and I just don't feel like it was the case here. What I did like about the movie is that it had a few very intense moments and that it shows innate talent versus hard work. And I know there's this debate, is talent a thing, blah 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 blah. I do believe that some people are born with certain talents. However, it doesn't mean that no one can reach this level. It just means the entry point of certain skills is lower for people with innate talent. Of course, even people who are talented still have to put in a lot of work to get better, and the movie does a good job showing both sides of talent. However, I didn't like the girl who pushed people's boundaries. So there's this one guy who can't run anymore because he's hurt his back, but this girl wants him in her team, so she's like, is it really that bad though? That's not verbatim how she said it, but it's basically what she meant. Girl, you want him to risk his fucking body just so you can have him in your team? I don't know about that. And the ending of this movie is up for interpretation. 3 stars. The Devil Wears Prada 2. Andy Sachs reunites with Miranda Priestley as they navigate their careers amid the decline of traditional magazine publishing. The movie was funny. I can't tell if it holds up with the first one because it's been ages since I saw it. I wanted to watch it in preparation, but I didn't have the time. It's still enjoyable, and I liked some of Miranda's outfits. Some of them I'd wear too if I had the money. 3 stars. Animat or Chirudo. Sakai is the assistant manager at a convenience store. His working day is determined by routine. Without any hint of emotion, he deflects the annoying customers and follows the rigid rules which the store owner imposes on the staff. When the ambitious Ogawa is employed part-time, Sakai increasingly begins to question his role in the system. This movie is the perfect mix of funny and uncanny. It's a bit slow and it might feel a bit boring at times, but I love it very much because I think it's just a perfect representation of people working in service, or how it feels to work in service, to be honest. 3 stars. Sai Disaster. 4 people lead ordinary lives in different places, their path never crossing. A mysterious man appears in each story, always as someone else. Then these people start dying. Mysterious death. And all of this is followed by one detective. On IMDB, it's listed as a mini-series, so I don't know if it originally aired as a mini-series, but I watched it as a movie, so I'll just call it an episodic movie. I liked it. I was a bit tired when I watched it because I watched it quite late, so I closed my eyes a few times. Similar to Animat, there are some scenes that might feel a bit boring because it again was quite slow, but I still enjoyed it, even if I closed my eyes a few times. But to be honest, I only started enjoying it when I was talking to my friends about it after the movie was finished, and we were talking about the meaning, blah blah blah, like, oh, what happened? And it's the first time in my life that I understood a metaphor in a movie. At least I assume I got it, and I was so proud. The interpretation might be a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell it. You just have to believe me. Maybe just a little hint. The kanji on the poster look like a human, don't they? 3 stars. Cocoon, a summer of girlhood. Sun and Mayu attend a boarding school for girls in Okinawa, but their studies are interrupted when they and the other students are recruited to help the war effort as assistant nurses. The movie, based on a manga, is inspired by the true story of the Himiyori Corps of student nurses in World War II. It's cutely animated. The founder of the animation studio worked at Ghibli before, and you can see the influence. However, even though it's inspired by a true story, the storytelling didn't touch me that deeply. Like, I've seen people compare to Grave of the Fireflies, and no, it's not even close, at least not for me. But my problem might have been that I was quite annoyed by the protagonist. 3 stars. Skunk. Yim grows up in a family where alcohol, violence, and sex dominate to become a confused teenager who goes beyond the pale to break with his past. Honestly, I have to say I was so scared to watch this movie because it checks all the trigger warnings, not just my trigger, literally all the trigger warnings. So tread carefully if you want to watch it. Anyways, I still watched it because I was curious, and I have to say, it didn't turn out as bad. It feels wrong to say it because it's still bad. It's very bad. The things that happen are bad, but I think it didn't feel that bad to me because it's not as explicit. So it was watchable even if there are a bunch of topics that can be very, very triggering. Once again, it is a bit slow. I watched lots of slow movies this time, I guess, but it does a really good job telling the story of a very, very disturbed teenager. It hit me emotionally, that much I have to say, but I didn't think about Liam per se after watching the movie. It made me philosophize about humanity as a whole. 3 stars. Shows. I'm sweating like a pig because it's hot and I'm sick. Anyways, I watched Young Royals, Overcompensating Season 1, XO Kitty Season 3, Young Sherlock Season 1, Beef Season 2, Worst Ex Ever Season 2, Warning Point Season 2, Invincible Season 3 and 4, The Good Omens Finale, Euphoria Season 3, Love is More Than a Word, Murder Mindfully Season 2, and The Boys Season 5. Young Royals. Prince Willem transfers to a prestigious boarding school where he finally gets to explore his true self. But when he unexpectedly becomes next in line for the throne, he has to choose between his love for Simone or his family duty. It's such a cute show and I was completely invested. If you liked heated rivalry, you should definitely check this out. It's honestly, in my opinion, so much better. I love the entirety of the show, but there are a few things I wanted to specifically point out. The first is that it's a kind of slow burn and they get a little closer by the end of each episode, that the characters are very complex, and that Willem always looks into the camera at the end of each season. That's the kind of consistency I love. Another thing I noticed that's neither good nor bad is that Willem is a prince and he keeps running around without his bodyguards, which really spiked up my anxiety. But the stakes are fairly low in general, considering that one of them is a criminal. crown prince and next in line for the throne. And I also have to address the elephant in the room. Simon's sister has Asperger's, which of course is a term we don't use anymore. Also, the ending seems a bit too easy. I'm not going to spoil it, but I think the creator tried to make a point here and that it should be that easy in reality as well. 5 stars. Overcompensating season 1. The show follows Benny, a closeted former football player, as he struggles to accept his sexuality in college, finding himself overcompensating as he tries to appear something he's not. This show is a satire. I needed to understand this to think it's funny. One part of the comedy is that it's cringe and awkward, and I wasn't fully sold until episode 7, to be honest. That's when I really started to like it though. And just when it finally starts to pick up the pace, it's over. And it ends in a cliffhanger. And now I want to watch season 2. 3 stars. EXO Kitty season 3. Season 3 follows Kitty into her senior year at KISS in Seoul. The season focuses on navigating unexpected twists in her friendships, future, and relationship with Minho. I honestly liked Kitty's character in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before movies, but I don't remember her being that cringe and awkward. It's an okay show, but the drama in episode 5 is what I live for, though it's resolved quite quickly. 3 stars. Young Sherlock. A young Sherlock finds himself entangled in a murder at Oxford that jeopardizes his freedom. His first case, tackled recklessly, leads him to uncover a far-reaching conspiracy that alters his path forever. Young Sherlock has a little sister. Is this BBC Sherlock? If I'm being honest, as I always am, the script is neither funny nor smart or witty, and the deductions are hard to follow. And I'm very sad to say this, but I'm not impressed at all. But I have to give every Sherlock adaptation a shot. 2 stars. Beef season 2. It's about a young, financially struggling couple, Ashley and Austin, who witness in the film the domestic fight of another, richer couple, Joshua and Lindsay. Ashley uses the footage to blackmail a promotion out of Joshua. A feud ensues in which both couples try to gain the upper hand. I can totally recommend this show. I really enjoy watching it. I really love the emotional talk of Joshua in episode 7, I think it was, because it hit really hard. And I love how it shows the development of the couples together, but also of the individual characters. The only thing that was a bit triggering for me were the fucking ants. What was up with that? I mean, there has to be deeper meaning, but I didn't get it. And it was so triggering to me because we had a water damage and ants started crawling out of the wall. And we had like a real ant problem, which put a huge mental burden on me. I really don't like insects. I mean, they can exist and do their part in this ecological system, but they can keep their distance from me. They don't have to be around me, honestly, until I'm dead, I guess. But the show was good. 4 stars. Worst ex ever, season 2. From chilling betrayals to murder plots, this true crime docuseries dissects the dark side of love or relationships through eyewitness testimonies, body cam footage, and animated reenactments. The Worst Insert Whatever series is one of the few true crime shows I like. Last time I criticized that we only get to hear one side of the story, and I'm always on the side of the victim, but I still like to hear both sides. And this time they made sure to include actual audio recordings of the abusers confessing their crimes, but not taking accountability, of course. And I like that, to be honest. That they added the perpetrator's confessions, not that they didn't take accountability. Just wanted to make that clear. I obviously don't think it was because of my critique, because there's like 20 people watching my videos, but I appreciate the change nonetheless. We have 4 episodes, with 3 men being the abusers and 1 woman. One thing I noticed, which I mean I wasn't super surprised, but only the men sexually assaulted the victims. Just say. 3 stars. Running Point season 2. A reformed party girl must prove herself as a businesswoman when she's unexpectedly put in charge of her family's pro basketball team. I didn't like the first season and I was certain it would get cancelled, but I want to give the second season a chance because maybe it's funnier. I chuckled a few times, but no, it still didn't get any better. At first I thought maybe it's because I don't get the sports, but I totally enjoyed Ted Lasso without being into sports, and it worked perfectly despite my disinterest. 2 stars. Invincible season 3 and 4. Everything changes as Mark is forced to face his past and his future while discovering how much further he'll need to go to protect the people he loves. He struggles with guilt as he fights to protect his home and the people he loves, setting him on a collision course with a powerful new threat that could alter the fate of humanity forever. The show is fine, and what I loved about it is how unapologetically brutal it is, but I felt myself starting to lose interest. There's one consistent thing I still like though, and that's that the title screen of Invincible is still incorporated into the dialogues. 3 stars. The Good Omens finale. Azrael, now Supreme Archangel, seeks Crowley's help as plans for the Second Coming take a surprising yet dangerous turn. They call it season 3, but it's really just one episode or movie, if you will. And honestly, we don't have to talk about this. Even Amazon burned this show for a good reason. I don't know if Neil Gaiman was involved in this final feature-length episode, and I don't know if they made it before or after his crimes were revealed, but also doesn't matter because he was involved in the other 2 seasons. You don't have to watch it. You don't miss anything. Just skip it. I'll just spoil it for you. They save the world and they end up together. You really don't have to watch it. And I did not have a goofy grin on my face for a split second at the end. 2 stars because, let's face it, it's not a bad show, but I feel utterly indifferent about it at this point. Euphoria Season 3. The 3rd season follows the cast after the time in high school, their lives still dominated by sex, drugs, and violence. Another problematic show with another shitty man. But all controversy aside, this season was so unnecessary. I honestly loved the 1st season, and I was one of the few that also liked the 2nd season, but the 3rd one? Nah. It's another show where I felt indifferent about the characters and the plot. 2 stars. Love is more than a word. Tao Mo, an illiterate man, buys a magistrate position in Danyang, aspiring to prevent injustices such as the unjust death of his father. Love is more than a word, my beloved. I rewatched this show because I'm going to make a video about it. Not only because I love the show, but also because I used one of the characters for my fanfic, which I'll also make a video about. It's based on a novel I'd really love to read, but I haven't found it so far, not with an English translation at least. 5 stars. Murder Mindfully Season 2. When mafia lawyer Björn turns to mindfulness for a better work-life balance, he discovers new coping strategies, including murder and manipulation. While the 1st season focused more on being mindful and being present in the moment, the 2nd season focuses on healing and listening to your inner child. The 1st season ended in a cliffhanger, which gets resolved right away. Nevertheless, I really love the show, not only because it's a crime comedy, but also because the 2nd season has a fun twist on listening to your inner child. Another thing I like is that it's narrated in a way that you would usually write in a diary. 4 stars. The Boys Season 5. Homelander controls America through fascist terror, imprisoning dissenters in freedom camps. The boys mount a desperate resistance against insurmountable odds to stop his tyrannical rule. The final season is as disgusting as always, and I love it. I couldn't watch it while eating though. I'm happy and satisfied with the ending. Only thing I have to point out is the moment Sage turned stupid, she started acting like me, and I don't know if I like that. 4 stars. Books. I've read Arha Volume 11, 300 Years of Longing Volume 1 to 3, and Legend of Exorcism Volume 5. Arha Volume 3. Arha Volume 11. The great battle between worlds is over, but Moran, Chuaning, and especially Shumong's story continues. Honestly, this volume is mainly about Shumong, which made me so happy because I really came to love him in Volume 10. The majority of the volume is about Shumong going on blind dates, and that arc was really funny. Then we have Chuaning's birthday, which was really boring, and I have to say I'm not a big fan of Moran's split personality. 3 stars. 300 Years of Longing, Volume 1 to 3. Wishing Xue awakens as a prisoner in the northern domain of Tealspire, which essentially is just a very high tower, which serves as a prison for fiends. Anyways, Wishing Xue is feared by all as an archfiend with no memory of how he arrived in the prison. His awakening stirs the legendary Tian Xue immortal Xiao Fusheng, a cold, enigmatic figure. As Tealspire begins to collapse around them, the two must forge a reluctant alliance to survive its fall and face whatever awaits them below. Determined to uncover the truth, Wishing Xue travels with his ragtag group to the feared stronghold of fiends. I love the series so much, I'm low-key obsessed. The first chapter was already really funny, and while reading it, I was hoping that it remains the tone, and it does. Volume 3, and it's still funny. I love the writing style because it's just my type, it's funny, and not too complex. Like Ballad of Sword and Wine, for example. One thing I wanted to note is there's lots of thinking involved, not from me or the reader, but the characters are thinking a lot and there's not as much dialogue. FYI, I don't know. The main character doesn't remember his past, which usually isn't a trope I like, but it's very well executed here, so I'll allow it. And whatever happened in the past between the main character and the main love interest is alluded to plenty of time, which really keeps you guessing and reading. It was so intriguing, or still is. It's generally very intriguing. I was so curious, or still am curious, to see what happened. Like, how did the main character turn from a celestial to an archfiend? Is that already a spoiler? I don't know. Nah. But once it was revealed why he turned into an archfiend, I didn't quite feel the emotion. I guess it wasn't conveyed all that well. Like the anger he felt for the reasons given and the fact that he went berserk because of it, blah blah blah. It was a bit lacking. but it's a good enough explanation. You can understand why he goes mad, but I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel the emotion. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. Also, so far the plot is exactly going the way I would have written it, so it's quite satisfying so far for me personally. And the chemistry. Oh, the chemistry between the two. I love it so much. The next volume will be the last one. Let's see if I'll still be happy after reading it. 4 stars. Legend of Exorcism, Volume 5. As the capital of Chang'an is preparing for a grand celebration, An Lushan and his henchmen plot to wreak havoc within his city. Morgan is working for them because he's trying to figure out their plans, and Lu Shu is visiting Morgan in his dreams to keep him in check, and the two become more deeply entwined than either bargained for. Meanwhile, Li Jinglong believes they can defeat An Lushan, and as the mission unravels, Li Jinglong is ready to put everything on the line to protect Hongjun from the demonic forces that might corrupt him, even if it means invoking a power that could destroy himself. So basically all I have to say about this volume is the main couple is so vanilla that I am completely into Lu Shu and Morgan. That's also the only reason why I mentioned them in the summary, because they're so toxic and I'm here for it. 3 stars. Anime. I watched Tsuruto Tsurugi no Historia Season 2, Witch Hat Atelier or Tongari Boshi no Atelier Season 1, Ganbare Nakamura-kun and Diamond no Ace Act 2 Season 2. Tsuruto Tsurugi no Historia Season 2. A teen without magical powers enrolls in a magic academy. He can't use a wand, but his skill with a sword fuels his drive to keep a promise to a friend. Honestly, this anime consists of a forgettable story with forgettable characters, and the more story progresses, the less I care. Worst of all, I don't like any of the characters at all. The only good thing about this anime is the art. I haven't watched the last episode yet because it will air after I recorded this video. Let's see if it'll change my opinion. It didn't. 2 stars. Witch Hat Atelier or Tongari Boshi no Atelier Season 1. Coco wanted to be a witch ever since she was little, but she was born a commoner, and the secret behind casting magic is strictly guarded from non-witches. However, as curious as Coco is, she manages to catch a glimpse of the witch Chief-Rei casting a spell and tries to imitate it, which ends in a tragic accident. Chief-Rei takes her in, teaching her magic alongside 3 other gods. The first and most obvious thing I have to point out is the awesome animation. It's very smooth and fluid without being over-animated, as for example Mappa nowadays. It sometimes even tried to imitate the original art style from the manga. Maybe they even used the original panels. I wouldn't know because I didn't read the manga, but I've seen it here and there and was amazed by the art style already. And from what I can tell, the anime does the manga justice. I also like the magic system because it's very neat and new. And I also like that it's basically an all-girls cast. You have protagonists who are ambitious, smart, and capable, and not all with just a few side dudes. It's basically reverse shonen. Most of the story is super wholesome with just the right amount of drama, and while I was watching it, I felt like it was healing my inner child. 4 stars. Ganbare Nakamura-kun. The moment the gloomy Nakamura Octo first laid eyes on Hirose Aiki during the school entrance ceremony, it was love at first sight. Ever since then, Nakamura has dreamt of becoming Hirose's best friend. The anime is drawn in a style of animes from the 80s and 90s, which gave it a nostalgic feeling. Another neat thing about this anime is that the outro of each episode is different. It's entirely comedy and it's so hilarious, I was laughing a lot. However, it's only this funny because it's a one-sided BL, which also disappointed me a little. I can tell you I'm not satisfied with the ending. And I can also understand if people think Nakamura is annoying or frustrating, but I thought his behavior was cute and quite plausible or believable for a shy, closeted teen. 4 stars. Diamond no Ace Act 2 Season 2. The second season of Act 2 is about the summer tournament. It follows 2 games, the one of Yakushi vs Ichidai-san and the one of Ichidai-san vs Seido. Just like Tsuruto Tsurugi no Historia, I haven't seen the last episode yet because it'll air after I recorded this video, but I certainly hope they're not going to press the final game into 1 episode. They didn't. Honestly, I don't understand the rules of baseball, but I just love sports anime because I love the characters and the intensity of the games most of the time. I just have a little nitpick with this season, and that's that there's not much motion, which I usually don't like to criticize because I know how much work animation is, and I wouldn't be able to animate those baseball poses for the life of me. But then again, it is an anime, and the lack of movement and recycling of scenes was noticeable. It's also kind of ironic that I don't like to criticize the lack of movement when one of my pet peeves is over animation, which I like to point out all the time. Another thing I want to mention is that you can skip the first 5 minutes of almost every episode, but that's always been the case with Diamond no Ace, which essentially makes it a quick watch. 3 stars. Manga. I've read Black and White Volume 11, Manga to Be or Not to Be Volume 2, Takopi's Original Sin or Takopi no Genzai, Pink Heart Jam Beat Volume 1, Uramichi Onisan Volume 10, Vice Courts, An Assassin and White Shaman, and I finished Wet Sand and Jinx. Black or White Volume 11. Shin and Shige are two actors, and they're also a couple. Since they're two actors, they have to keep their relationship a secret. But in Volume 11, Shin finds out a secret that Shige and seemingly everyone else have been hiding from him. Not wanting to confront Shige, Shin tries to put the situation out of his mind so he can focus on his new role, which finally has him working side by side with his lover. This manga series is a bit tragic, but I like it. However, it's been going on for so long, and since there's always such a long break between the volumes, I don't remember what happened last. I only remember the core plot, which is that they're both actors. They get typecast all the time, even though they have like completely opposite personalities from the roles they get, and that they're a couple and they have to keep it secret because showbiz. I think there are 3 more volumes, and once it's finished I might read all of it again in one go so I can form a better opinion. 3 stars. Nagahama to Be or Not to Be Volume 2. The two protagonists, Nagisa and Isa, have finished school in the last volume, and in this volume it's about their lives and especially their relationship after Isa returns from the sea. However, Isa will have to return to the sea because it's his job to work on a boat. And this volume is about how their relationship will survive his repeated departures, but it's also about Nagisa's future. Slice of life drama. Overall, it's cute. You could say their relationship is relationship goals. It had me laugh out loud a few times because the comedy bits came out of the blue and had really good timing, and I love Scarlet Barrica's art style. 3 stars. Takopi's Original Sin or Takopi no Genzai. A squid-like creature known as a Happian leaves his home planet with the desire to spread happiness across the universe. He's found by an unsmiling little girl who feeds him and names him Takopi. Feeling indebted, Takopi decides to do everything in his power to bring a smile to her face, but his actions lead to tragic consequences. There's a stark contrast between the cute art and the heavy themes. It looks super cute, but it's not a typical slice of life. It's about a complexity of humans. I was a bit scared going into this, and it is slightly disturbing, but personally I didn't feel sad while reading it. I don't know why, it probably just didn't manage to push the right buttons for me. The art does convey the emotions though. There are some quite visceral images sometimes. Also, Takopi is so cute, not just from the way he's drawn, but also his personality, and the plot isn't too bad. What I liked is that not everything is explained or spoon-fed, but you still understand what happened without everything spelled out to you. The end wasn't too fast, but the resolution seemed a bit too simple. In the end, they didn't talk anything out and just became friends despite everything that happened prior. I don't know, man, that was a bit too easy. 3 stars. Pink Heart Jam Beat Volume 1. More than 2 years after Ryo Kanai graduated from college, he and Yuki Haiga are still happily dating. They have been living together for over a year, but as Haiga's own graduation approaches, the stress of a job search sets in, while Kanai's work as an audio engineer keeps him busy. As they both try to balance their respective workloads, they still make time for romance. Well, what can I say? I loved the prequel. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's a slice of life BL, so those things can always go on. It's not that I don't like it, quite the opposite, but there's not much to say. You can read it if you're into BL. Go read it. It's nice, it's well drawn. There's not much tension. There's no drama. It's wholesome, light entertainment. I can't wait for the next volume. 3 stars. Uramichi Onisan Volume 10. Uramichi Omota is a 31-year-old man who works as a gymnastic instructor for Together with Mama, an educational show for kids. In front of his young audience, he has to display a happy-go-lucky and energetic demeanor. Outside of his job, and sometimes even in front of the cameras, he cannot help but slip back into his true personality, which is the opposite of his TV counterpart. In truth, he's miserable and fed up with his current lifestyle, or just life in general, to be honest. At its core, it's a dark comedy that reveals the not-so-bright reality of adulthood. And this volume specifically is about an artist or a comic artist that works for the magazine from the TV show, and his drawings are so much better than Uramichi's, but he kind of has an art block, so Uramichi has to step in and it gets published, which makes the original comic artist doubt his own skills, and like he has a small identity crisis, I guess. And it's so funny. I love it so much. Every time I read it or watch the anime, there's not one episode or volume where I don't just have to laugh the entire time. There is a dash of deepness, I have to say, just perfect execution, and it's so gay. 5 stars. Weiss Kreuz, an assassin and white shaman. Weiss is an underground group of assassins composed of 4 men torn by their past. Carrying the scars of their memories, they skillfully purge the city of criminals who have either evaded the law or are out of its reach. One by one, they begin to discover the relations of the crimes to something much more sinister, reaching out to their pasts. But each of them must decide if fighting for what they believe in and for the ones they love is worth it, when it might come at the expense of their humanity. That sounds quite deep, and in all honesty, isn't everything that happened in the manga. Like, there are 2 volumes of the manga, which honestly feel more like art books. But there's also an anime and lots of dramas. I think it also started as a drama, and then you have the anime. The manga only scratches the surface of what I just said. However, I felt like rereading it. It gets the nostalgia bonus for me because it's one of the very first manga and anime I ever had contact with. I never got to watch the actual anime back then because I was too young and I couldn't buy the DVDs. So I only lived off screenshots and whatever people wrote about it on the internet. I even watched Gluin in Chinese without subtitles because that's how desperate I was. And I guess I was too young and naive to find the episodes online. Don't judge me. I've also never listened to the audio dramas, and I don't know if I want to be honest, because it might actually destroy the feelings I have for this show, or it might just ruin it for me for some reason. I loved and still love the characters, especially Schwartz. Nonetheless, let's just say I could relate to Farrello very much. It's kind of sad as a child. Anyways, I love the art style of the manga and the characters, especially or mainly Schwartz. 5 stars. Wet Sand. Joe has had a normal life and he has recently moved in with his aunt to help out with her restaurant while focusing on his photography hobby. When he accidentally snaps a picture of Ian, it leads to the 2 of them meeting. Unbeknownst to Joe, Ian is an ex-member of an Asian gang. The only thing preventing him from fully leaving the life of his violence behind is his undefined relationship with TJ, his longtime friend and lover. Overall, I did enjoy the story and I love the art style. I don't know if I like the ending, but at the same time I think it's the only way it could have ended. I'm just not a big fan of love triangles in general. Well, triangle. I don't understand why it's called triangle if there's one person with... Anyways, I'm not a big fan of this kind of dynamic, and I was a bit disappointed by the end because even if the characters showed change and growth, it still feels like they're stuck or afraid of actual change. It doesn't feel like true love but comfort, sticking to what you know instead of moving on. But I also get that the other option might have been a bit too vanilla. 3 stars. Jinx. It tells the intense and emotional story of Kim Dun, a kind-hearted physical therapist struggling with debt, loan sharks, and a sick grandmother. His life takes a sudden turn when he gets hired by Joo Jae-kyung, a powerful and undefeated MMA fighter. However, Jae-kyung has a strange belief, a personal jinx that requires a special kind of treatment before every match. As the story progresses, Kim Dun finds himself trapped in a complicated and intense relationship with Jae-kyung. It's finally over. I hate it so much. This isn't love. Oh my god, Kim Dun, get it, grape. Oh my god, Jae-kyung, I don't fucking care. I hate it so much. 1 star because it's over. And ongoing, I've been reading 19 Days, Kagurabachi, Wari no Seraph, Saizuru Tori wa Habatakanai, Scammed and Rammed, Run Room TA, and Yarichin Bitch Club. Games. I've played Disco Elysium, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations, and Tomodachi Life. Disco Elysium. In Disco Elysium, you're a detective with a unique skill system at your disposal and a whole city to carve your path across. You interrogate unforgettable characters, crack murder cases, or take bribes. You can become a hero or an absolute disaster of a human being. And honestly, I love it. I did not expect to love it this much. It's a non-traditional role-playing game in which events are resolved through skill checks and dialogue trees. It's very atmospheric and has quite the poetic narration and very awesome world building. And while the narration might be poetic, it is very text heavy. There's a lot to read, which sometimes made it a bit hard for me to focus because it's all very theoretical, barely accompanied by any visuals, if at all. So you have to use a lot of your imagination, but there's just so much lore that I just couldn't possibly remember it all, and my imagination is useless because I can't visualize shit, or at least I need a small crutch. However, even though it is very text heavy, it's also fully voiced and pretty much open world. The world isn't too big, but you can go wherever you want. There's also lots of quests, many of which are optional, which again makes it kind of open world because you can choose which quests you take and which you don't, and you can do them whenever you want. Anyways, the world reacts to what you do, but it's also very forgiving, thank God. And I love Kim for putting up with my shit. 5 stars. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. This is the third and final installment in the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. In addition to 3 episodes in which Phoenix Wright faces off against a mysterious new prosecutor named Godot, the game also features the first 2 cases of Mia Fey's law career. I'm repeating myself at this point, but I can't assume that whoever watches this video right now has seen the other videos, so it's funny, it's witty, the characters are whack, and it makes you feel smart. I love it, and I love Edgeworth. He's so cute. 3 stars. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Tomodachi Life Living the Dream is the 3rd entry in the Tomodachi Life series, which I've never heard of before, by the way, and I thought it was the 2nd installment. Basically, you have this island and you can create up to 70 characters based on whoever you want that start living there and start interacting with or without your meddling. You'll witness absurd situations, you can design the island however you please. I mean, the Mies want to help you, and sometimes they're just lacking the artistic eye, and you have to decide, do you want to have a pretty island or do you want your Mies to be happy? But there's also lots of drama. Reality TV could never. And you can create pets, food, clothing. It's very customizable, very adjustable. And the best thing I haven't mentioned yet, it's basically fully voiced, which you can also customize. You can customize each Mies voice and the language or words they use. These are the absurd situations I meant, because you introduce some words and they use it out of context, creating new context, which isn't always necessarily wrong, but questionable in a good way. I'm so obsessed. I've been watching so many streams. I don't want to admit it, but I didn't have a Switch before, so I bought one. I didn't actually want to support Nintendo, but once I realized it's basically just an island that you can fill with blorbos and simulate your fanfics, I was sold. I had to buy it, so I got it. I really couldn't stop thinking about it, literally obsessed. I was honestly a bit scared that there would be in-game purchases or microtransactions to buy clothes or whatever you want, but it's all purchasable with the in-game money. Anyways, after playing Tomodachi Life, I understand why God, which I don't believe in, made most people allosexual or romantic, because it's so fun seeing those little idiots fall in love. Personally, I used my island to fix BBC Sherlock. So it started with them being friends, which we all know because we've all seen the show, right? John helping Sherlock with his detective shit and realizing or accepting that he can also have friends. But then it happened. What I didn't record is John's first 2 confessions because I didn't know how to at this point. But what you need to know is, the first time Sherlock rejected him, the second time he just didn't show up, and the third time was just savage. Absolutely brutal.
Hi. This is awkward, but Sherlock asked me to come talk to you on his behalf. He told me to tell you he's not interested. Sorry about that. Don't shoot the messenger.
I mean, so far so good. It's still canon, we've all seen the show. So of course John was a bit sad, and despite the 3 confessions, Sherlock only seemed to notice John's feelings now. And then this happened.
Really? So I do have feelings for my dear.
And sorry, but I was playing without sound, so I skipped ahead because I was done reading, but he was still talking.
Alright. That settles it. I'll have to try my hardest to make my dear Watson
Okay, next try, this time from Sherlock's side.
be utterly smitten with me. Well, I hate to see you looking so lovesick. What to do? Fine. I suppose I'd be willing to let you go out with me.
I'm sorry, but the answer's no.
We're still not there yet, but up until now, it's also still canon. We all watched the show. The bitches were fighting for whatever reason, and now things are about to take a turn.
Who knew Sherlock's gaze could be so passionate? I want him to look at me with those piercing eyes forever.
So John went in for the next confession.
Sherlock, it's nothing fancy, but I have something for you. Here. I got you a light bulb as a token of my love. Will you go out with me?
Wait just a second.
And of course they get interrupted by
The
Moriarty.
one who really loves Shelley is me. Wait just a second.
And that's my OC, just ignore him. This isn't about him.
The one who double, super, triple loves Sherlock is me.
Well, I confessed first. Pretty sure that proves that I love you the most, Sherlock.
So, Shelley, which of us do you choose? Oh, the suspense.
My dear Watson, I feel exactly the same way. Let's give things a try.
So they're finally together, but after being on a few gay dates,
Ooh, now you've done it. Take this.
Eek, it's so cold, so cold, so cold, so cold.
it finally happened.
Sherlock. Will you marry me?
Yes. A squillion times, yes.
Bestie. Sherlock said yes. Thank you so much for your support. We're beyond excited for our wedding.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
And that's how I fixed BBC Sherlock. But wait. Killer? Oh, I guess that checks out. Well, I guess to fix it, Sherlock had to switch careers. 4 stars. If listening to random people talking about random stuff on the internet appeals to you, leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any topics you'd like to hear me ramble about, leave a suggestion in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned for the next one. Bye!